Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I thought I'd come and talk to you about everyone's favourite topic, money. A lot of you guys will be starting university in September, and if you're anything like me, you'll be completely clueless on budgeting, finance, how much you're expecting to spend, etc. So I thought that I would try and give you kind of a hand, some advice, mistakes I made, things to expect. I feel like everyone's pretty clueless about this, none of you guys will really know how to budget. So I just thought I would give you my advice and tell you how much I spent in first year. A lot of you guys who are watching this, probably about 60 or 70% of you are not subscribed, so if you're not and you want to see more uni videos, I'm happy to do as many as people want, so do let me know down below. For anybody who doesn't know, I study at University of York. I'm going into the second year and I do psychology. It's a pretty miserable day, so I just thought I'd put on my nice lights and get a blanket out, and my hair looks pretty greasy, and I thought I'd just chat. So basically I went through every single bank statement from first year, basically documented everything I spent and like the category in which I spent it on, and I've worked out the total amount of money I spent in first year, which is a lot more than I thought it was. Obviously most people who apply to university, which will be the majority of you guys, will have applied for student finance and a maintenance loan. Your tuition fees tend to be £9,250 per year, and your maintenance loan will be anywhere between like £3,000 and £9,000 depending on your family's income. I've decided not to include the tuition fees. Tuition fee loan, which is your £9,250, tends to go straight from the government to your university and you don't see it. And your maintenance loan will come into your bank account. You'll have put in bank details for a bank account when you applied for it, and the maintenance loan will come in stages, so you'll have it split into 3 sections usually, and you'll get a third of it at the beginning of each term into that bank account. And if you go onto the gov.uk website, you can usually find out the date that this will come in. It usually tends to coincide with your course's start date. So when I was calculating my expenses, I decided not to include my tuition fees and my rent. So I've broken down my expenditure in a lot of different ways because I love numbers, but I worked out that during my first 2 terms at uni, so from September the 28th to March the 14th, I spent a total of £3,909.29, which is actually disgusting, and I didn't think I'd spend that much. So I'm gonna break that down for you guys so you can see where all that money went, and you know, if your figure would be larger or smaller for whatever reason. Thought I should also mention the largest anomalies in there, because there's some things that I would spend a lot of money on in one go which you wouldn't spend on a daily basis. So during February I had to put a deposit down on my house, which was £350, and obviously you kind of forget that you're going to need to do that, but you should definitely bear that in mind. I've seen deposits that are like £450 and deposits that are like as low as £200, but hopefully if your agency isn't shit and you don't damage your house, you should get all of that back after second year. But yeah, just bear that in mind. You're going to need to pay a deposit at some point, and if you've got a bank account that has an overdraft, an interest-free overdraft, that's really helpful for things like this. Other things that I spent a lot of money on were my driving test, which was £62, and then I've bought train tickets that are quite expensive throughout the year. So I bought a train ticket for £73 and another one for £77.90. That all taken out, the figure is much lower. It's £3,346.39. So if we're looking at my weekly spend, excluding all these one-off expenditures, my weekly spend was apparently £257.41, which is much higher than the average student and much higher than I thought it would be, but I thought I'd be completely honest with you guys and say that is how much on average I spent each week. And I should also point out that I do YouTube, and I sell a lot of my old psychology notes on Depop, and that was partially how I managed to support myself through uni, and because of that I was lucky enough to have a fair bit of wriggle room, so I wasn't too tight on myself, and I did really want to enjoy first year and not worry about money, so I really didn't budget too much, which is why my weekly spend is actually really high. Hopefully it's not going to be as high next year, because we're not really able to go out next year anyway, so I'm probably not going to need to spend as much money. And there's some obvious places where I could have cut back, which I'm going to share with you guys. I thought I'd go through my monthly spend as well in case you guys cared. So in October I spent £808.74, so we were still in our freshers phase then, like first 4 weeks of uni, so I went out a fair bit and didn't budget too much. I also went shopping a lot, so that was my second most expensive month. November cost me £640.11. Yeah, I'd cut back on my spending and going out as much, and I kind of learned to budget a little bit better, but yeah, still expensive. December cost me £752.98, but that also includes 2 weeks where I went home, went to London, went shopping, bought Christmas presents and stuff. So January cost me £572.86, which is, I would say, alright, still higher than average. average, but February cost me £996.34, but that was the month where I put my deposit down on my house and I paid for my driving test. And then March, I was literally at uni for like 2 weeks, so that cost me £138.26. I also didn't really go out in March because my grandpa had just died, so I wasn't really having the time of my life. I just wanted to be in my room and just do my work, do my own thing. I thought I would now break down where that money went. The thing that I spent most money on was general shopping, so clothes, photos, social outfits. Turns out during first year on general shopping category, I spent £787.22, which worked out to be £60.55 a week. Honestly, quite frankly, I don't know where that went or what I bought with that money, but it's disgusting. And I bought a lot of tops and like little tops and things during first year that would be like a nice night out outfit, and then just didn't wear them that much. So I think in first year you should enjoy shopping and enjoy your student loan, but not go over the top, because you probably don't need a lot of the stuff that you're going to buy. So yeah, I'd just be really mindful when you're shopping, because you can get very carried away and spend a lot of money. My second most expensive section, I guess, in first year was drinks in clubs, which honestly doesn't surprise me, and that's come to an absolutely disgusting amount of £552.79, which worked out to be £42.52 per week. The piece of advice I would give you guys here to make sure you pre-drink and not buy drinks in clubs. I'd often buy drinks in clubs not because I actually wanted one, but because everyone else was at the bar and everyone else was getting a drink and I didn't want to be left out. Yeah, you don't have to get a drink just because everyone else is getting one. As long as you've pre-drank and you're at a level of drunk you're happy with, like, you don't need to buy drinks all the time. Often I'd go off in a club when I was bored and just buy a drink out of boredom as well, which was really stupid. Like, if I was that bored, I could have left. I could have got some water that's free. A lot of my friends from home say they never buy drinks in clubs, they just pre-drink and just never go to the bar on a night out. And also, don't buy rounds for people that you don't know that well unless you're happy to accept that you're probably not going to get your money back, because people are flakes and they will probably forget that you've bought them a drink. Okay, so I thought now I'd go on to food, because that is actually an essential. I had two ways I bought my food. So where my accommodation was, it was really hard to get to like a big supermarket properly, so every 2 weeks I did a food delivery of like all my basics that I'd need for the next 2 weeks, vegetables, etc. And then during those 2 weeks I would just go to Nisa occasionally, which was a 5-minute walk away from my accommodation, and just stock up on things like bread and like buy like, you know, a little bottle of wine for Pries or whatever. And if you don't know, Nisa is basically co-op. It's like, so it's not too expensive, but it's overpriced for what it is. If you're frequently going to like a small shop on campus just for like 1 or 2 things, it really does actually add up. For food delivery, so my big Asda fortnightly shops, that cost me £310.59, which averaged out to costing £23.89 a week in my big shop, which isn't too bad. But then you factor in the Nisa shopping, which I didn't really notice going out, and it becomes a lot more expensive. So during the year I spent £222.50 in Nisa, which was £17.11 each week. And yeah, that's quite a lot, to be fair. As I said, I only went to Nisa and I probably spent £10 maximum each time I went to Nisa, so I never thought I spent a lot there. But yeah, it definitely adds up, and it is worth being just a little bit more organised with your like weekly food deliveries from a cheaper shop like Asda or Tesco's or something. In Nisa I often bought stupid things as well, like I would buy like biscuits, crisps, and just stuff that I didn't need. Another thing that I would recommend for saving money on a night out is only taking cash and turning off Apple Pay on your phone and not taking a card, because then you literally, once you run out of money, you have run out of money, and unless you can like sweet talk someone into buying you a drink, you're not getting another one. So yeah, often I'd take cash out or a night out and club entry, and I worked out that I got out a total of £300 in cash over first year, which equated to about £23.70 each week. Yeah, there's not much to say on that. I think getting cash out is really good, but obviously don't get out too much at once and get robbed. So under our transport section, we've got Ubers, bus tickets and train tickets. Bus tickets, I spent £106 throughout the year, which isn't really that bad because I did go into town a fair bit and it was only £1 each time you went into town. Some unis you can like buy a bus ticket that makes the bus free like all year. Sometimes it's included in accommodation, which is really good, but that is not the case at York. You could use your student card and you could buy 20 singles for £20, 10 singles for £10, same thing, and just scan your phone every time you got on the bus. So it was only like £2 every time you went into town, which does add up, yes, but it's not that bad. And then train tickets, I spent £224. So yeah, train tickets for me, like my parents didn't come and pick me up or anything when I went home for Christmas and stuff, so I had to get the train down. So you just got to scout out the best prices and book early for that. And then if you want to go see your friends, once again, scout out the best prices, book early. Like if you need to get a late or antisocial time sort of train, then do that. I went down to Southampton, which was pretty expensive, but I got it for a really good price. That was one of the ones that was £70. It left at like 6 p.m, so I'd had a whole day at uni. The train left at 6 and then it arrived in Southampton at like midnight. But it was a train that I didn't have to change, so that was fine. But yeah, that was an expensive train, but it was a very long distance, and I was lucky to get a train in that route that didn't require that many changes. I went home obviously at Christmas and back up to uni at Christmas. But yeah, going home on the train and like visiting friends is expensive, so you've got to like, you know, make sure you really enjoy it when you do it and just get the best price, book early, etc. Here's a slightly disgusting figure, which we can all learn something from. Ubers. So York is a campus university and it's located basically like outside of the city in a field. So you'd have to get an Uber into town or get the bus into town for a night out. Then on the way back from a night out, the buses ran really irregularly. If you missed the bus, you could be waiting for like half an hour for the next one back. So at that point, people just got Ubers. And yeah, Ubers are like £2 if you split it, but if people forget to pay you back, they just add up a lot. During first year, I spent £90.92 on Ubers, which isn't awful, but it's still a lot of money when I could have got the bus for £1. So yeah, that equated to £6.99 a week. I think with Ubers and taxis, it really depends who you're with, because some people have a lot of money to spare, don't really care about getting an Uber, and some people would rather get the bus because it's a bit more social and it's cheaper. So sometimes it's just easier to get an Uber, but yeah, weigh it up and get the bus if other people are getting the bus, I would say. Or walk if you can, because I couldn't. It was like a 50-minute walk. If you're getting a taxi with people and you have offered to pay, make sure that you know that you're going to get their money back off of everybody, because people are flaky and people will forget, and you'll probably have to like message them to remind them, and it'll be a pain in the arse. So yeah, just make sure you trust the people you're getting a taxi with. Like, just like don't be that person who doesn't pay back for a taxi, because people won't like you. So my next category is club entry, and this isn't very accurate because a lot of my club entry was paid in cash, and obviously you can't document that, but my card, I spent £108.75 on club entry, was £8.36 a week, and club entry tended to be £5. But yeah, there'll be other events as well, like for example a formal, which will be like £35, which has been factored into that. Yeah, it adds up. Again, clubs aren't going to be open, but you know, for future years when clubs are open, if your uni does kind of a scheme where you can pay up front a big lump of money to get free entry for the rest of the year, if you think you're going to go out enough to make your money back, so like do the maths, then it's totally worth getting, because it just makes it a lot easier. So for at York, you could get a platinum card for £99, and that got you free entry and queue jump for the whole year. And had we had a third term, I definitely would have spent more money on club entry than £99. Yeah, I'd have definitely made my money back if we'd had a third term. Okay, something else that surprised me was eating out and cafes and things like that. I'm not one to go for a meal out, like it's just expensive and I prefer to cook anyway. But like getting a coffee here and there, or like if you go and work in a cafe and getting like a tea or a scone out of politeness, it does add up. So yeah, I spent £257.48 on cafes and eating out, which equates to £19.80 each week. I guess if I wanted to cut this figure back, like when I'd gone for a meal out, I'd probably just get like water instead of like a nice drink, or like I used to often get like a hot chocolate or something with like syrups and stuff in the library cafe when I was doing an essay, which I guess were quite expensive. But yeah, I think that's a pretty normal amount to spend on that. Okay, and then netball. So I joined netball, and you'll probably have to pay membership fee, and then there'll be other things that you have to pay for. I would pay for punch, merch, etc. And it would be much more if we ended up going on tour, which was like another £400. Through netball, I spent £76.50, which was £5.88 a week, which to be fair isn't that bad. But yeah, societies do have hidden costs, which is fine because they're good fun, and I would say it's totally worth it, but just in case you weren't aware. I have a section on here called Repayments, which was basically when it said that I transferred money to somebody else for buying me something. I spent £150.58 paying people back for things. Yeah, I don't really have anything to say about that. Like, I guess if someone suggests you split something with them and you just think, yeah, why not? Like, do you actually want that thing, or are you just doing it because it's probably not going to be as expensive if you split them? There was a few times I got Domino's because other people were getting Domino's, and maybe I could have just like eaten something that was already in the kitchen, but then again, it's nice to get Domino's every now and then. So the next one is laundry and printing. So we had Circuit Laundry, and you just basically load money onto your card or the app. You just like pay through that for your washing, and then the same with printing. I spent £82 on printing and laundry in first year. Not much to say about that. It was, you know, needed. It's kind of a lot of money, but it is spread across 13 weeks. And then miscellaneous, I spent £552.99, which is like my house deposit, my driving test and stuff like that. So yeah, it's not that bad. Clearly from those numbers, I wasn't the best at budgeting. So for me, what worked was having two cards. One card where my student loan was sitting that had been like given to me by the government, and then one that I used. Every week I would transfer my weekly budget, which was my maintenance loan divided by the number of weeks in the term. I'd transfer that figure to my empty bank account and then just use that card during the week. And I'm happy to make any other uni advice videos that you want to see. So yeah, just let me know down below and I will do my best to help. I really hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful, and I'll see you very soon for a brand new video. Bye!